Hey everybody, down here in the basement again, and just have a couple of small updates, I guess you could say, and also have another update that hasn't happened yet, but I do hope to have it done sooner than later, and I'll let you guys know what I'm talking about. But first, let me just show you what I did here. So as you guys know, a while back, I had this floor mat bought, and I put it in the place for where, at the time, the future workbench would be. But as you can see, it's now there. And as you know, this floor mat is fantastic. Like, it's very good cushioning, covers a good amount of area for standing around the workbench. And it's like, it's great for if I'm down here for a long time. I can stand on here and, no fatigue or whatever. Now, unfortunately, Costco doesn't seem to have this anymore, but Harbor Freight still does. So I had been thinking about putting some new floor matting around certain areas, and thanks to Harbor Freight, I was able to do that. But first, let me show you what I got here. So there's their logo, Harbor Freight Tools, 4-piece anti-fatigue foam mat set, over 17 square feet. You get 4 squares, if you want to call it that, in a box, rather in each wrapping. And you can obviously buy more to make a larger area. There's the dimensions for each one. Now, this matting I actually installed for areas where you may have to sit down or do some work on stuff. And I thought of 2 areas where that really might come in handy. So let's go take a look at them. Over here by the dehumidifier, you may notice that I have a mat installed right here. Now, this mat is here because, in case, if let's say sometime in the future, well, I will have to at some point, open up the unit, take the cabinet off, take out the front and back panels, and do some cleaning on it. I could easily, kneel down here. Kneel down, sit down, and do all the cleaning I would have to do on this dehumidifier, and then, just have a nice cushioned area to sit down on instead of the hard basement slab, which really makes a difference, especially for your knees. You don't want to have your knees on a hard surface for too long. That'll really start to bother them, and that's happened to me before in the past. Definitely not fun. And it worked out pretty good. I mean, all the everything fits together, all the borders are together, so technically you could, just to give you an example, have, this border section out here, but look how that looks. Doesn't look as finished. So, I'm glad I was able to have it all together like this. This really came out nice. Nice place to have a cushion, if you will, when you want to work on this dehumidifier. Now, of course, the other part is the air handler. Now, take a look at this. This came out really, really nice. As you can see here, it covers a nice area of where you could sit in front of, excuse me, where you could sit or kneel in front of. There was that one spot right there, and I figured on the side, I was like, hey, put a mat there. So why not? Now, of course, one thing about these mats are, they all come from the same factory, Harbor Freight, everything's made in China. So, obviously, not every single mat is going to have the same pattern or the same shade of black. You're going to see some little differences here and there. But, this is in the basement. Who cares? It's really not a huge deal. And I made it the best that I could. But you can also see I have all the borders for all around here. And that worked out really well. So now, if let's say, for example, in the future when I have to change the air filter again, or, let's just say, for example, in this compartment, the inducer or the hot surface igniter needs to be worked on. Well, now you got this nice, big, cushioned area, all right, that you can sit down on and even put some parts on here. You have this nice, this nice, comfortable area if ever you have to work on this, and that's really, really nice. Or if in a more extreme case, what if something happens with the blower motor? Let's hope that doesn't happen. But now you have all this. You have a nice area to lay down if you got to work down there, or kneel down if you want to work up here. I really like this matting. It's very, very nice to have. And again, maybe in the video you can see this block is a little bit lighter than these. So again, that just happens. That's how it comes from the factory. And more often than not, this kind of matting isn't going to be used in a very fancy area, so it's really not a big deal. The only modification I had to make was right here. This border right here for the inside corner, all right? Every piece that ends to the, did I do that correctly? Let me see. Yeah, it wouldn't fit anyway. Any piece that is on the right here, it goes over a little bit, so because of the inside corner, I had to cut off this section right here, because this would have overlapped onto this piece right here. You see what I'm saying? So I couldn't put it straight down, so I didn't have a razor blade on me, so I got a chisel and just cut away this edge here. In fact, I have the piece right over here. Here it is right here. And see, if this was still on here, I wouldn't be able to set it down because it would overlap onto that. You see what I'm saying? But I was able to give it a good cut, and that fit on this inside, and well, this outside corner for this inside corner fit very, very well. And it's really, really nice. And you have some matting here in case, who knows, condensate pump? I just think it looks cool too to have this in front of all the equipment. You know what I'm saying? Really, really like how this turned out. Now, the small rug that used to be over here, I just put that there for the heck of it back when. I mean, it didn't really do much, but I thought, hey, why not? This looks so much better than the small rug that was here. But that is now actually over here in a more fitting place. It's actually at the halfway point of the stairs. There it is right there. I figured, why not? Okay, and I was thinking of, I do have one left here. Don't have any use for it yet, but I do have this one piece here that could come in handy in the future, who knows, but right now I don't really have any use for it, so it's just here for the time being. I was thinking of maybe putting one for the water heater, and that might not be a bad idea, but if that ever leaks, that's going to be 140 degree water, and that with foam in front of it, I don't know. I feel a little uneasy about that. Plus, I do want to buy one of those like little battery operated water alarms that you just put on the floor right there, and if this leaks and if water comes into contact with that alarm, obviously, it sounds one, so that way you'll know that there's a leak. So I do want to get those little alarms at some point, and that's why I didn't really put a mat here because of needing that alarm. But maybe I can work out something in the future. Who knows? But really, the dehumidifier and the air handler, since that requires occasional dust cleaning, that requires filter changes and things like that. I figured, hey, why not give that area its own matting, and I really like how it turned out. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here is, at some point, I want to get a slop sink for down here. And really, I think this area on the side of the stairs is the best part for it, okay? Because these two pipes were installed with the house, and they just put these in here for the sake of, if we ever had the basement finished and we had a bathroom put down here, but that's not happening. So, and my folks think this is a really good idea too. So I think the best part to put the slop sink would be right here, because you have all these beams right here that are exposed, and if you look up here, I temporarily took the insulation off so you could see it. We have a hot and cold water line. You can't really see the cold water line. Hold on, let me turn the camera sideways. There you go. Now you can see it. We have a hot and cold water line right up there. That black pipe is the gas line. So if the hot and cold is right up there, then it's like, this is probably the best spot to put it, because you just run them down the beams, and you get right into the sink, no problem. And the only thing is, I will have to have the pipe travel some, so it can get over to either this 3-inch pipe or this pipe right here. This would be for a toilet if it was installed here. So it would be cool if I could plumb the sink into the 3-inch pipe, just because it's closer there. It doesn't need as much of a run. And as far as my knowledge, it's totally fine to plumb a sink into a larger pipe, so I can't imagine there's be a problem with that. The only thing I would have to do is I would have to install, they have like these little air vents that you can install on the top of each pipe. And basically that's because, when water's flowing down, it lets air in so the water can flow freely, but it prevents air from coming back up. Like you don't want air from the septic tank obviously coming back through there. And the trap itself is on the sink and not on the pipe, so that's why you install a vent up there. I'm pretty sure I could work something like that, but that's an idea I've had for a while now. And like I said, both my folks think that's actually a very good idea at some point. So I definitely would consider doing that at some point. And just like I said, since the piping is all right here along the side of the stairs, this is probably the best spot for it. And like I said, because the water will go into these pipes, it goes right down to the main pipe there. Don't need a pump, all gravity drain. And that's one thing I really like about that setup that we could have. And then basically what I'll do is maybe put a pegboard up here, a small one, And since we have all these wires here for the basement lights, I was thinking maybe at some point we could maybe tap into these wires and then, like, at some point put a separate switch over here and just have, like, you know, a standard light bulb just either put on the beam, or I can put a board across here and just have the light bulb, you know, either point down or point out. I think it would look cooler if it pointed out like that. Just a standard socket, like, you know, these lights. A standard socket with the light bulb sticking out and then just lighting up this whole sink area, you know, when the time comes. I think putting a switch here with the and tapping into those wires would work. It's actually cool that, again, all these wires are exposed, so it's easy to work with, and so are the beams. Okay, guys, that's everything. So, it's been a while since I've given you any kind of house update. Hasn't really needed it for a while, but I thought this kind of thing would sound interesting to you guys. So again, like I said, have matting for the dehumidifier now, as well as the air handler. And I do hopefully plan to have a slop sink here at some point, and hopefully going into these pipes will work out. And if that works, that'll be one great thing to have down here. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.